Respected Deputy CLC Guru Sahab, who is chairing this meeting, both the Joint Secretaries from Ministry of Defence and Department of Military Affairs, and all my colleagues from the federations. This meeting has been basically convened by the Office of CLC to discuss about the one-day strike called jointly by the three federations, AIDEF, IDWF and BPMS, on the 19th of October 2020. Now in the joint strike notice, the demands of the different directorates under the Ministry of Defence, such as MES, Navy, DGQA, DRDO, EME, AOC, Airforce and DGQA units, all these directorates under the Ministry of Defence, the demands of the civilian employees are given in the enclosure of our strike notice. I am not going into the demands because it is not a full-fledged meeting with the concerned officials. But even then, the Charter of Demands speaks itself. And you will appreciate that all these demands are nothing new. These demands are pending with the various directorates under the Ministry of Defence and also under the Department of Defence Production, Department of Military Affairs and the directorates whatever I have mentioned. Now why all these demands are getting accumulated? Why the department, the Ministry of Defence and the directorates are not bothering for the innumerable number of representations submitted by the federations? The basic reason is there is a total breakdown in the social dialogue mechanism of the Ministry of Defence. The defence civilian employees are always discriminated when compared to the uniformed personnel of the Ministry of Defence. The Ministry of Defence is in a peculiar situation when compared to railways, postal and other departments. Because in the Ministry of Defence there are about 12 lakh soldiers who are uniformed personnel and about approximately 3.9 lakh defence civilian employees who are working side by side with the uniformed personnel. Now the defence civilian employees have got trade union rights. They are governed under the various labour laws. They are governed under Industrial Dispute Act, Trade Union Act, recognition of trade union rules and whatnot. And the defence civilian employees deserves a better treatment, good treatment, being a model employer as the government, which unfortunately for the past almost 5 to 6 years, that treatment is not being given to the defence civilian employees. The defence civilian employees are harassed because even in this COVID-19 period, in some of the establishments like God, Regimental Center, Kamti and supply depots and other places, the civilian MTS employees, the poor Group D employees are asked to stay day and night for 1 month continuously in the unit, and thereafter they are given 15 days home quarantine, and again they have to continuously work for 1 month without any recess, in violation of all the labour laws of our country. This is just an example I am quoting before you. So the attitude of the authorities towards the defence civilian employees is not at all acceptable. It is an unfair labour practice, and what I want to emphasize here, the attitude is a total violation of the ILO Convention 144, which is already ratified by the Indian Parliament. The ILO Convention 144 says there should be a social dialogue with the employees. In our case, we don't have a Malik. We don't have an employer separately. Our employer is the government itself. So here it is a bipartite social dialogue, not a tripartite social dialogue. And for that type bipartite social dialogue, there are recognized unions at the unit level and recognized federations at the All India level. And these recognized federations are the authorities to represent to the Government of India with regard to the grievances and demands of the defence civilian employees. And for that purpose, the Government of India has constituted a joint consultative machinery called JCM, and that JCM machinery is not properly functioning nowadays. Now Mr. Pathak has joined. After my complete, Mr. Pathak will continue from AIDF side. Now our issue is that none of these machineries, social dialogue machineries, are functioning in the Ministry of Defence. The Departmental Council JCM meeting, for which the Defence Secretary is the chairman, it doesn't function. And the third level JCM councils chaired by the various head of the directorates like DGQA, DRDO, MES, Navy, EME, Adjutant General's Branch, Airforce, none of the JCM machineries are functioning. And over and above that, with the approval of the then Defence Secretary in 2013, an additional mechanism to negotiate with the federations was constituted. None of the meeting, no single meeting has taken place other than one meeting conducted by the then Joint Secretary Establishment and one by the DRDO Chief. Otherwise, none of the Joint Secretaries in the departments who are supposed to sit with the federations twice in a year, in spite of our repeated requests, it has not taken place. So, social dialogue mechanism has come to a complete breakdown. As leader of the staff side of Departmental Council JCM, I have written a DO letter to Dr. Ajay Kumar, the chairman of the Departmental Council JCM, to intervene. Till date, I have not received any response. Even the strike notice issued by the federations jointly on the charter of demands of all these directorates, till date there is no response. That means in a nutshell, the Ministry of Defence as an employer is showing total apathy towards its own employees. Our letters are not being addressed. Replies are not given to our representation. Even the copies of the instruction which they have to endorse to the federations is not being done. So the employees of all these directorates are in deep distress. The MES employees have got hundreds of issues. Nobody is there to listen. EME, many workshops are closed. GOCO model is introduced. Nobody is there to listen. This is the situation with the Navy. Arbitrarily decisions are taken in the name of restructuring, reduction of manpower, and the staff federations are not taken into account at all. So that is why we are forced to give this strike notice jointly on behalf of all these directorates. And of course, there is a demand in all these directorates. They extend support to the ordnance factory employees. They also demand that the decision taken by the government to corporatize the ordnance factory should be withdrawn. So with this remark, I now request Guru Saab to call our President Mr. S.N.Pathak, who has just joined for this meeting.
Pathak sir, good morning. Pathak sir.